In Mirage Men, every time the government wanted to distract you away from something, they would filter it out little by little and say, this is evidence of aliens. It does seem very, very convenient that every time a major story is going on.
I think this is much more likely that this is a psyop. I think it's much more likely that that's what's happening. I do believe that there is a good shot that we have had, that we have intelligence, that life exists outside of human life, okay? And Earth life.
Is President Trump about to declassify the existence of aliens? Check out this great clip over here with Glenn Beck talking about this subject and a new possible documents release. We'll watch it together and then we'll talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
The beginning of the week, Barack Obama is on a podcast and he's asked, are aliens real? And he says, they're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it, Area 51. Okay. Everybody goes crazy. What is Obama doing? Blah, blah, blah. Then Laura Trump, the president's daughter, comes out, and she says, what was it exactly? My dad has a speech ready to go, right? To talk about aliens. You're like, wait, what is happening here? Then after that, you have the president coming out yesterday, and he says he's going to direct Hegseth to release all government UFO files. Okay, so let's listen to that. Can we listen to that? I think it's cut 7.
Something that got a lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know?
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. You believe it, Peter?
Well, the president can declassify anything that he wants to, so if you want to make an announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens are real.
Yeah, illegal. Only illegals.
Wait. This is crazy. You wouldn't be breaking the classified information rule if you were saying they didn't exist and they didn't exist. That's not classified information. Why would you classify that they didn't exist? Okay. So he violated classified information. I don't know what that means. And so then he says, yeah, I just might release all of the government files. Now, he says he might do a lot of things on things like this, and, who knows. But let me just take you back a couple of weeks, shall I? There was a story in the New York Post, and I don't even know, it was in our show prep, and I don't even know if we got to it. But I thought it was important enough to include it in our show prep at the time so you could read it. The bank, this came out January 24th. The Bank of England has been advised to create a plan for the inevitable financial chaos that will result if and when world governments disclose the existence of aliens. Former senior financial security analyst Helen McCraw sent a letter to the UK's central bank urging the institution to prepare for the economic impact of someone disclosing the existence of aliens. If such a disclosure should come from the White House, Cambridge-educated McCraw projected in her letter, the revelation will send shockwaves through financial markets and the banking system and inspire general unrest among Earthlings. I don't think, you're going to go march out in the streets if you find out that that aliens are real? Why not? I might actually stay in my house a little bit more than go out into the streets. In the documentary Age of Disclosure, physicist UFO researcher revealed that George H.W. Bush administration convened experts in the alien field in the early 2000s, tasked them with figuring out the positive and negatives of revealing that mankind is not alone in the universe. The group weighed the impact on 60 different aspects of human culture, including religion and the stock market, and determined the negative fallout of public disclosure outweighed the benefits for population at large. Are we really that fragile? Jason, would you weigh in on this? Do you really think we're that fragile on this? That we would fall apart? I mean, my faith is not so fragile that I find out that there's, aliens, that I'm gonna lose my faith and stop going to church. That wouldn't make any sense at all to me. And I'm gonna pull my money out of the stock market because we have evidence that aliens are real. What sense does that make?
I think there's a couple of different things. Like, did you ever see that movie Contact with Jodie Foster back in like the early 90s?
Yes, loved it.
It was really good. And I don't know if you remember, there were like fringe, religious groups that were coming out like in the movie. I thought that was kind of very, I don't know, similar to how it would be today. But I think the biggest thing, the big people that are within the disclosure movement were within the entire thing. You see these on some of the documentaries, some of the guys that used to be part of the program. There was this one guy that said the biggest worry was that if they come out and confirm everything now was economic. And he went further into it and he said, well, what happens when a lot of these competing companies, they suddenly found out that some of the technology was based off of recovered craft and it was lent or given over to, let's just say Comcast. Let's just throw that out there as an example. But all the other telecommunication companies.
I mean, come on, man. Really? We're like, we've got this alien technology. Who do we give it to? Let's give it to the cable company. I mean, what?
Another one, Fisher Price. We give it over to Fisher Price, and let's have them create the best toys ever.
Right.
But then Mattel is like, whoa. We didn't get any of that cool new toy tech. Like, what is going on here? We deserve basically reparations, or we deserve compensation for everything that they got and gave them an advantage for. That is the scenario that they are the most worried about as far as economic. Trillions and trillions of dollars that would now go up for grabs for them to fight over for. And it would happen globally, internationally. That is the biggest thing when you think about fragility that they're thinking about.
Yeah, go ahead, Ricky.
I think you're abnormal. I think the fact that you're not worried. I mean, you've seen the alien movies. It never ends well for the humans.
Right.
And the fact that you're not worried
does AI.
Makes you abnormal. People like me, I actually have nightmares about aliens invading Earth. Am I alone here?
Yeah,
I'm serious.
You are alone.
If I hear that aliens are touching down or they're trying to contact, I'm finding your bunker in Idaho and I'm locking down.
Really? I think that's really.
Why? How are you not afraid?
Well, because what are you going to do about it?
So you're just going to hang it up and not fight the aliens?
No. If I hear that aliens are on the other side of the moon and they're mounting an invasion, then I'm worried. But if we find out that aliens landed on Earth in 1956 and they died and we have their bodies someplace, okay, well, we know those are real. Now, if they say, and by the way, they're shapeshifters and they might be among us, then I freak out.
Are you talking about Nancy Pelosi?
Yes, I am. I mean, then I freak out. But if it's just that we know that aliens exist, okay, I mean, I'm not surprised by that. I mean, I would be very surprised if they're shapeshifters and they're here on Earth, but I'm not surprised. I mean, as it says in that movie Contact, as Carl Sagan used to say, what a horrible waste of space if we are alone. I mean, think of the vastness of space. All of this was created and we're the only forms of intelligent life? That makes no sense whatsoever. So I'm actually kind of excited by it. I don't want to arrange the meeting. You know what I mean? I'm not like, hey, let's put out all of our Reese's peanut butter cups when they come on down. They might like them. I mean, it's not going to end well.
Hey, Glenn.
So yeah.
Have you seen the documentary Mirage Men?
No.
So I'm bringing this up because a lot of the insiders are talking about in the chat right now that this could be, or this seems like a distraction, some kind of distraction operation. And Mirage Men, every time the government wanted to distract you away from something, they would say, "Oh, look at this is like," they would filter it out little by little and say, "This is evidence of aliens." It does seem very, very convenient that every time a major story is going on, we get a new disclosure hint. I don't know.
I think this is much more likely that this is a psyop. I think it's much more likely that that's what's happening. I do believe that there is a good shot that we have had, that we have intelligence, that life exists outside of human life, okay, and Earth life. I do believe that there is a good chance that we know that. Whether we have, alien technology or not, I don't know. I'd be interested to find out. But I think this whole thing is much more likely a psyop. I mean, what would be the one thing that would unite everybody on Earth? People in space coming to get you.
What does Judaism say about extraterrestrial life? The truth of the matter is this discussion has been made already since the Middle Ages and even before. But really, the early philosophers in the Middle Ages, starting with Rabbi Chazdoi Kreshkash, was already open to the idea of extraterrestrial life. Even before him, in the days of Maimonides and the days of the Rambam, he spoke about the idea of consciousness existing not only on Earth, but even that the celestial objects, the planets and the stars themselves, that they have a certain degree of consciousness. Now, Rabbi Chazdoi Kreshkash, he goes into the idea that we are open to the idea of life outside of the Earth. He brings several sources that could even support this idea. For example, in the Psalms, in Psalms 145, it says, Malchutcha, Malchut Kol Olamim. That God, your kingship, is a kingship amongst all times. Olamim can be read as all times, as often read as all times, but it can also be read as Olamim, as worlds. Your kingdom is a kingship of all worlds. Instead of interpreting it in the spiritual sense only, we can interpret it in the physical sense as well. There's other verses and ideas that are brought from the Hebrew Bible to support that point. Rabbi Chazdoi Kreshkash's student, Rabbi Yosef Albo, disagreed with his teacher. He said, if you look at the Torah text, if you look at the biblical text, there is a certain centrality on earth to human beings. There's a certain anthropic, human-centeredness of the Torah, and that excludes any other life out there. Kabbalist Rabbi Eliyahu Horowitz, who wrote in the Sefer HaBris about this very topic, he sort of reconciles the two. What he writes is that the caveat for there being life out there could be life out there, but the caveat is that they wouldn't have free will. Whatever the creatures out there would be, they wouldn't have free will. When the Bible teaches at the beginning of Genesis that God created the human being, B'Tselem, and in his image, and each person is created in the image of God, that is a reference to free will. All of the commentaries say this is a reference to our free will, the ability to make moral choices. This is what distinguishes us from the animals, and this is even what distinguishes us from the angels. In fact, spiritually speaking, angels and animals are pretty much the same thing. They can't move past their natural tendencies, their natural abilities. They can't transcend themselves. They do sort of what they're programmed to do. So whether we're talking about aliens, robots, AI, or animals, all of them just do what they're pre-programmed to do. And so the concept of making a moral choice is something unique to humanity. So whether there are creatures out there or not, that is theologically irrelevant. It'd be interesting. We'd all be reading the papers and watching the news and seeing what's going on. But as far as theology is concerned, I'd still keep Sabbath that week, would still keep kosher, still put on my tefillin and pray every morning. All of the theological implications would be exactly the same, because whatever creature is out there would be less than the human being in its spiritual capacities. There's a reason in the Bible that when angels are depicted in prophecy, oftentimes they're depicted as animals, right? the idea of Ezekiel's chariot, for example, when it talks about the different heads of the different animals, these are a reference because the spiritual essence of an animal and the spiritual essence of an angel are the same, and that they both don't have free will. They're both spiritually on the same plane. And so the same thing would be applicable to alien life or interdimensional life or whatever else would be out there. Again, fascinating, interesting, super cool. However, not theologically significant that would change anything in our beliefs. There's a great story of Dr. Velvel Green, who was working in NASA's exobiology program. And he became a religious, an observant Jew, and wrote into the Lubavitcher Rebbe, should he continue working for NASA in their exobiology program, in their search for extraterrestrial life. And the Rebbe responded, not in the way you might expect a religious leader to respond. He said, no, keep going. Why limit God? Why would we limit God and say that there can't be life out there? You should continue to explore, because that could only bring about further the glory of God in this world. So we'll see what happens with all of this revelation and disclosure. What do you think about extraterrestrial life? I'd love to hear your comments below. And if you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.